This story right here that I'm bringing to you absolutely disgusts me for a couple of reasons. One, we are just now finding out about this story, especially since it occurred almost 2 years ago. And two, this just shows that even when black people, especially black men, are trying to rehabilitate themselves, behind bars and how they can be doing, trying to get their life together, even though they have to do it within the confinements of a prison, they're still under attack by racism. Now, this picture that you're looking at right here shows four black inmates and they're all at a table together. But if you look at their body language, it looks like they're struggling to get away from something. And it seems like one of them is sitting down. And from the looks of it, he looks like he's injured. Well, what ended up happening is you had this racist white correction officer handcuff all four of these black men to this one table, and he allowed this white racist right here to come down with a shank of some kind that he most likely made and begin to stab them. Now, there's actual footage that goes along with this. Like the footage is like 20 seconds long, but of course, I'm not going to play the footage on here because I already know how YouTube is. If you want to look at the footage, I can post the link in the description. If you don't, I can understand why, because it's pretty graphic. But this just shows you that even black life behind bars is not even valued. Now, I don't know these men's past. I don't know what they did to get into jail. But when I look at this right here, these four men don't deserve this. And that white correctional officer needs to be taken out of his damn uniform, stripped of his position, and needs to be put in a prison uniform just like the rest of them. And that white supremacist, he needs to have more years tacked onto him. And I'm probably certain that he most likely did. Now, like I said, this happened back in 2017, in June 2017. And it in the video of this attack just got released on January 25th. So we're talking 4 days ago. It's currently January 29th. I'm going to go ahead and read this article coming from the Washington Post. And this was from Columbus, Ohio. A newly released video shows the brutality of Ohio inmates, ironically Ohio, the hub for heroin, knife attack on four other prisoners who were handcuffed to a table and unable to defend themselves. The video obtained by the Associated Press reveals for the first time the extent of the victims' injuries and raises question about how the bloody attack happened inside the Southern Ohio Correctional Facility in Lucasville, one of Ohio's most secure prisons. Additional security concerns were raised months later when the same prisoner was allegedly involved in a knife attack that left the guard severely injured and hospitalized for months. So somebody there is unlocking this person's door, turning a blind eye and allowing this guy to just go on an attack. Now, I wonder what the race of that particular guard was that he went after. Because if he's going to do this to these four black inmates, I'm almost certain that the guard possibly was black. Shamik Pugh was one of the four inmates in the first attack on June 4, 2017. He was trying to kill us for sure, said Pugh, who is now out of prison and recovering from multiple stab wounds in his arm, chest, and back. The four prisoners were playing cards during an out-of-cell recreation period. Pugh, aged 28, believes guards set up the attack, something the prison system, the guards union, and the prosecutor who brought charges against the attacker strongly deny. Well, how in the hell was he able to get out of his cell then? That's what I'm trying to figure out. See, they set it up during recreation time so they can have an alibi and say, well, everybody was free. It's not like we were on lockdown. And how in the hell did they get handcuffed to the table? Explain that. Only the guards have access to cuffs. Consistent national data on inmate assault is difficult to come by, but prisons can be dangerous places with 1 in 5 inmates reporting attacks. In Ohio, a 2016 legislative prison inspection committee found that the Lucasville prison has traditionally had high assault statistics, in part because of gang-affiliated prisoners. In the video, inmate Greg Rank, the alleged attacker, is seen stabbing Pugh and 3 other prisoners multiple times during the assault that could have been even worse had one of the victims not freed himself and fought back. Greg hid 2 homemade knives on him and used one of them, a 7-inch shank, in the assault. Just under a minute passes before the first guard appears at the end of a long hallway and charges toward the attacker in the video obtained by the Associated Press through an open records request. More than 3 minutes pass before guards free the last inmates from their cuffs, chained to a blood-drenched table. Now, why the hell did it take them so long to get them from that table? I'm telling you, them damn guards set that shit up. I don't give a damn what they say different. They set it up. How did they get access to those cuffs? Only the guards have them. They think we dumb. Greg stated that he just felt like killing someone, according to a prison report after the attack. The following day, authorities declined to prosecute Greg, arguing that he was already serving a life sentence. Greg was convicted of aggravated murder in a 2004 shooting in Cleveland. Then just over 8 months later, on February 20th, Greg and a second inmate were accused of assaulting guard Matthew Mathias in the prison infirmary. Mathias suffered 32 stab wounds and numerous internal injuries in that attack and has still not returned to work. Newly elected Scioto County Prosecutor Shane Tiemann changed course and charged Greg with both prison attacks. Greg has pled not guilty. Tiemann also called the video quite disturbing and said he was bothered by the delay of the guard's response. I'm telling you, they are the ones that set that up to get those guys killed. Luckily, they didn't die. Luckily, one of them was able to free himself and help fight off the attacker. But Tiemann said he wasn't going to second guess the actions of the guards that day. He also saw no evidence of a setup. I swear these motherfuckers stay on code when it comes to them. And that's exactly why I feel absolutely nothing when shit happens to them. The point of bringing charges against Greg was to send a message that such crimes would not be tolerated and hopefully to draw attention to security issues in prison. The inmates who were stabbed, though offenders themselves, deserved justice. See, that's the thing. They feel like because these guys were inmates, they felt like they didn't even deserve any type of justice because they're going based off whatever crimes they have committed that landed them in jail. So it's like, oh, they would have just been expendable. But that's crazy. You know, they even in jail, they still won't get them or find them guilty of a crime. These victims deserve their day in court too. To say this was done to me, and for us to stand up and say it is not right what was done to these victims. And see, with them in jail and them being black, they don't see them as victims, unfortunately. Authorities haven't determined a motive for the attack on the prisoners, and Tini said there was no evidence of racial element. Okay. Greg is white and the 4 inmates are black. Greg's attorney declined comment on the video. Prison officials won't say how Greg slipped his cuffs and how he was able to smuggle 2 shanks out of his cell. He was probably given them. And they most likely unlocked the door to his cell and he walked out. The delay in freeing the inmates after the attack happened because their restraints became entangled when inmates were moving around during the attack. Well, that's the story they're going with, but that's the story I for damn sure don't believe. Lucasville ended the practice of shackling multiple inmates seated at a table after the incident, according to the union that represents Ohio's prison guards. The union reached an agreement with the Lucasville prison in April, requiring increased security requirements for moving dangerous inmates. The union continues to talk with officials about improving security, but no system can prevent opportunities for violence, said Christopher Mabe, president of the Ohio Civil Service Employees Association. There's no such thing as an inmate being locked in a cell no matter what the security status is for 24 hours, 7 days a week. That's not what we do. Well, that's how this guy got out, and this is the second time he's done this. Don't y'all see his ass at a flight risk? And like, did they give him any type of punishment after he did what he did to the first security guard? Like, they didn't put him in solitary confinement for a week? It says, no guards involved in the incident were disciplined. Of course they weren't. Greg, age 38, is now housed in the state's Supermax high security prison in Youngstown. The other inmate involved in the attack on the guard, Casey Pigg, was also transferred to Youngstown. Pigg is a 3-time convicted killer who had boasted about strangling a fellow inmate on a prison van while they were being transported. He is also serving time for killing a cellmate with a brick in 2016 and killing his girlfriend's mother in 2008. See what I'm talking about here? Just straight up degeneracy. But yeah, them saying this wasn't racially motivated, I don't believe that. Them setting this up saying it wasn't a setup, I don't believe that. I believe that they were set up. How in the hell else did they get handcuffed to that table? And see, the thing is, if they tried to probably fight back against getting handcuffed to that table, then they would have said they were attacking the guards. And then they most likely would have got a harsher punishment. See, they were expecting these black men to attack those guards after they handcuffed them to that table. That's what they were banking on, but they didn't fall for it. And the fact that they had to handcuff them to a table and make this an unfair fight or advantage for the white guy to get those stabs in just lets you know how weak they are as a people. They do shit like that even outside of the prison cell. It's something Richard Spencer said. He said they don't fight fair, they fight to win. And the fact that they had to handcuff all four of these guys to the table just so this guy could stab them, and luckily none of them died, lets you know the unfair advantage that they gave him. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this story down in the comments.